93K BTC, but it's all about 𝗃𝗆 this week, and we got a ton of earnings coming out. So guys, you need to be prepared, and I'm going to sort you out. I've got a special guest today. We're talking tons of Bitcoin. We're talking tons of altcoin setups. You're going to be covered to the upside, to the downside, longs and shorts. We got a massive show ahead here. Let's get right into it. And remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. And here is Chaos in the house. He's bringing the Monday flavor. We know we like him with his indicator vibes. Welcome, sir. And obviously, we got James here, still 𝗏𝗆𝗆.
Yeah, right in the middle, especially this week.
𝗏𝗆𝗆. Okay, we're going to talk about it. We got some news. There's some things happening this week, guys. So looking forward to seeing what Chaos has for us as well. I know he's got a couple of setups. He says one of them is almost ready to go right now. Okay, but it's going to be subject to likes and things like that. You got to give him likes. Okay, then we're going to sort him out. So this is where we are. Banter bubbles. Now, interestingly, I nearly pulled up call for you guys today, and maybe we need to. It's 7% up, so that is looking quite good. BONK is actually quite strong. We got a bit of a scalp yesterday in the hacker session. BONK is doing okay. Link bleeding a bit. Near is putting me under tons of pressure. And Tower is actually showing a little bit of strength today. But I'd say all around today, in spite of a short-term little bounce earlier, I think these alts are feeling a little bit of pressure, and we've got a big week ahead. So are they just going to float around now while we wait for Joe Powell on Wednesday, or are we going to get some moves? So today, the importance of today is to make sure that you are covered. If we get a trade, we'll look to get one now, obviously, for you guys, but we want you to be covered in case there's a market sell-off or something along those lines. I've got some big areas for you, so make sure you get your notepads ready and make sure you get your charts ready so that you can add some of those levels. Now, let's jump straight into the big dog. Okay, so in terms of what's been going down, this is BTC on the 2 hour that I'm watching, and right now we've dropped into my first support level that I dropped in hackers earlier today, and you can see this is our second reaction on this region. There's Vanda. She was just in the school workshop a couple of seconds ago. Now here she is. Okay, so good to have you on the show as well. In terms of big levels for me, 93,400. You can see this region makes sense, and that is why this thing is reacting at the moment. We are getting a little bit of a bounce here for the second time on BTC, but the big level now for me to the downside, if this region starts failing us, we are looking at 92,800. So if we lose this guy here, look out here, 92.8, we should get some kind of bounce there, and that's just going to tie in typically to this previous horizontal that has worked for us in the past. So that would make sense for me in terms of lower time frame downside. And then that also ties in very nicely to this liquidation heat map. Look at this little liquidity here on the 1 week. Lots of things to grab here for the market makers. Easy move down to 92K, give or take. And then in terms of upside, well, it's starting to look juicy again at this 98K region. So something is telling me that we are going to eventually go back to that area, and we're going to pay another visit to that zone. But we've got a lot in the way in terms of resistance zones. So what I want you guys to watch, in case this market starts ripping today, starts pushing to the upside, I've got some very big rejection zones here, and these are pretty bearish areas that you guys need to watch, because we can easily pop into that and then get a little bit more downside out of these zones. So 95,150 makes sense to me, 95,600 makes sense to me, and then this region here between 96.1 and 96.8, this whole zone is looking pretty decent to me. That's our weekend high at that 96,800, making a lot of sense to me to the upside. Okay, so these are the ping pong zones that you guys want to be watching in terms of where we go. And look, we're expecting volatility this week, no doubt. So we're going to talk about the couple of things that are happening here, but this will hopefully tide us over in the next 24 hours. A lot of it is going to come down to what these altcoins are doing. Now, I love this one. I mean, we've talked about tariffs so many times, but I just love this from Lark Davis now earlier today. Me building a strong portfolio for the 25 bull run. How'd it go? I mean, we live this every time. I don't know. Do we still find humor in this? Are we still enjoying the tariffs?
It's really not that funny anymore. It used to be. I mean, the movie one was kind of funny today. Everybody was screaming about the movie one.
It's so shit. It's so shit. Okay, well, guys, this is what's going down this week. Key events this week. S&P Global Services PMI is out. That came out now, and I think that was a little bit unbullish, okay? A little bit bullish.
That was bearish, for sure.
Looking good. Okay, came in a little bit hot. Okay, so that wasn't looking good. We got ISM non-manufacturing today. Oh, that's what came out as well. Then we got the FOMC on Wednesday. Now, this is the big one. You know, are we going to cut rates? What is going down? And obviously, the minutes is going to be super important. So, my general strategy for these FOMC situations, and we'll talk about it Tuesday as well. We'll talk about it later in the week. But pumping into FOMC, normally looking for entries. If we're pumping into FOMC, normally looking to sell. If we dump into FOMC, we are normally looking for buys. We are normally looking for entries. So we're going to play it accordingly, and we'll be guided by the market. We'll be guided by the amount of panic in the market or by the amount of bullishness in the market. Make Money, Travel, Enjoy says, it seems like I seem to like the tariffs. Oh, look, she likes the volatility. Yes, she's a shorter. Okay, she's one of our hackers.
If you're trading short term, it can work for you, right?
Yeah.
You can catch all the little moves up and down everywhere, then yeah, it's great.
He's loving the tariff vibes. Now, if you want to follow Watch a Guru, they've covered a whole lot of clips from an interview that was done with Trump. It looks like it was this weekend. But I mean, he's talking about he will lower tariffs on China at some point. So if you want to follow all of this, you can find the
China to get them to the negotiating table. Those tariffs are staying on.
Why would I do that?
Would you lower them?
At some point, I'm going to lower them because otherwise you could never do business with them.
Yeah.
And they want to do business very much. Look, their economy is really doing badly. Their economy is collapsing.
So, look, there's a lot of these clips going around. If you want to follow them, you can see the interview. I'm sure there were little nuggets of interest and things like that. But yeah, still a lot of ego at play here, it seems. And he's convinced that the Chinese economy is taking a lot of pain, and they're actually they're going to give in. I mean, that's basically his move. So we'll see. Okay, but here we are. We're still playing the tariff game months later, and Finance a Lot says now things start getting interesting. The Nasdaq is starting the week off exactly like it did in April 22. Now, this is the Nasdaq. Look what happened in April 22. There was a long, hard green pump there, and then some mega type of sell-off. Okay, so I mean, James is smiling there.
You don't want to see that.
We don't want to see that, but it is a little bit bearish. Okay, not the best look at the moment for us. And I pulled out the S&P, and for me, it's interesting. Okay, so the S&P is under the 200-day moving average. We know this is a major resistance band. Now, the only thing stopping me from climbing into a short at the moment is the fact that we don't have our reversal signs here yet on the daily. Now, we can see what we like on in terms of reversals is when we get these divergence prints and these reversals. We do get these moves to the downside. Now, I'm not seeing that just yet on the S&P. So I want to see what happens here over the next couple of days, because if we do consolidate somewhere around in this area and get a reversal print or something, then I think the short is on. Now, we've got 2 days till FOMC. This could be some kind of trigger for us as well. So a lot to look forward to here. But that's, yeah, a little bit of patience here for me. We are in a bearish zone on this S&P. So anything up to 5,750, that's our 200-day MA. Right now, if we're closing underneath that, we can't be too bullish. This is really just a dead cat bounce after that original sell-off there. So let's see how this plays out. I think when we get our reversal on the oscillator, then we can start talking about some shorts and prepare. Yes, he's absolutely right. And what the fuck is going on with AVAX? Can somebody tell me? Chaos. Take me through AVAX, bro. What's happening? Well, that's my alarms going off. That's
quite loud, isn't it?
What's
That's perfect timing. AVAX the coin. Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. So, okay, can AVAX? Can you dig up that AVAX chart for us today? I want to see what's going on. I've got a feeling I've been stopped out on that thing. Okay, we're gonna look at it now. So AVAX, funny enough, I put on Twitter earlier today, AVAX out of all the altcoins yesterday was showing some of the best reversal signs in terms of what we like to see for these reversals, and it was the weakest player out of all of them. So there must be quite a big seller there. 𝗫𝗵𝗵𝗁 says, did someone say 𝗁𝗃𝗃𝗃? Okay, so guys, don't be filthy, guys. The 𝗁𝗃𝗃𝗃 is the meme coin on AVAX. It's literally a token you can trade. Okay, so okay, let's go. Trump imposes 100% tariff on all movies produced outside of the US. Now that's a new development, James. Did you like that? You must love that. Okay.
Well, I thought it was kind of funny. Such a small thing to tariff, really, you know. But
Look, I
Interesting.
immediately dived into Netflix. I wanted to see what was going on. And Netflix doesn't seem to care, shaking this thing off at the moment. Look at all these green daily candles on Netflix. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 greens. Okay, that's pretty hot. Okay, at the moment for Netflix. So Netflix looking bullish. They're streaming live sports soon, if I'm not mistaken. They've also brought gaming.
Yeah.
They've got a lot going on. So there's a lot of bullish things at play for Netflix at the moment, but looking for fresh longs now after breaking that horizontal. I was eyeing out a short here not too long ago, but it just absolutely never came back. It never rejected. And now in terms of the next play, bullish moves, I'd want to see some kind of support retest. So for me, I'm not diving into this thing on a potential long right now. I just want to let this thing play out. But 1,030 looks interesting to me, and 950 looks interesting to me. As long as we're above this 50-day MA on Netflix, it could be a nice trade. So we just need a reset plan. Yeah, we just want some kind of pullback just to take out a couple of the late longers there, and then maybe a bullish move on Netflix. So they don't seem to care about Uncle Donald's tariffs at the moment.
I'm surprised though, because a lot of their content is international, right? You get a lot of their movies are dubbed, and they're their own movie studio now. They make lots of their own movies, and most of that stuff that's supposed to be US is actually filmed in Canada because the dollar goes so much further. They get 40 cents on the dollar, so tons of it's done there.
I mean, can you imagine how many parts of a movie are filmed or created in America? I suppose maybe if they're editing there, who knows what the story is, how they're going to get through that loophole. But yeah, there's got to be...
Well, they're going to have to move movie production back to the US. And I think that's his goal, right? Is to bring that all back.
Yeah.
Because everybody's left because it's so much cheaper elsewhere.
That doesn't make sense to me. Okay, and then guys, another big week for us. There's big earnings. Now, this is obviously all market moving stuff. Now, we've had a couple of big earnings coming out over the last 10 days, and we've seen some of them are performing really nicely. Like Netflix was one of them. I think Meta was another banger. Microsoft gapped up. So things are looking positive from that side, but another massive week out there. And the one I want to highlight today is Coin. That is coming on Thursday. Those earnings are coming out, and the Coin chart looks exactly like a typical shitcoin at the moment. It looks like an altcoin. Okay, it's literally trading like some of these alts, and all it's done at the moment, this is Coin on the daily, all it's done is break through the 50-day MA like a ton of these altcoins, and now it's busy coming back. And we really want to see these types of levels start holding for us. And typically if these alts start losing the 50-day, funnily enough, this Coinbase looks like it's going to start bleeding down. So could be interesting time on Thursday. We know this is heavily tied to the crypto market and the bullishness of the market. If the market's super bearish, this thing tends to fall over as well. If the market's super bullish, we know there's lots of traders, there's lots of people buying. Coinbase are making fees and doing all those types of things. So a couple of zones of interest to me. The first one that's going to make sense to me is going to be the 50-day MA that does tie in with some horizontals. So I just want to highlight this. Remember, these stocks you can trade with me on BTCC. So you just need to sign up in the link in the show description, and you can take advantage of these. We're trading cross accounts, 20x leverage on these things, so you can have a bit of fun. But in terms of what I typically want to look for here, little sell-off bang, that could work for us here at about 189, 190 on Coin. And then lower down, you've got your little possible inverse head and shoulders here at play. And this could be a nice one. So this will tie into a nice bleed out on BTC. This will tie into a market dump. And a lot of those tokens are going to hit these types of zones that you're going to see now today, where we're pulling in these right shoulders on these 618s and things like that. So it is a reality for us. It could be around the corner. And I just want you guys to make sure that you are prepared for all scenarios. Okay. Chaos, how are you doing over there? Are you cooking there? Are you ready? Did you find a Vox? Did you find a Vox for us?
I did find a Vox. I was just looking at Netflix as well. Dude, this thing's flying, hey. Crazy.
Yeah, no, it's power. Okay, we're going to bring Chaos in. He's got a Vox, and he's got 𝗙𝗰𝗵𝗍𝗶. He's got 𝗚𝗆, I believe. We did talk about that yesterday. Could be a fun one. So there's a couple of things. Even when the market is super bearish or there's a bit of a sell-off, there's always like some outliers that are potentially ready to start popping for you guys. So we've got you covered. Happy Monday for Glenn Goldberg. Nice. Okay, so guys, BTCC, I'm still in this Google short at the moment. No reason to exit that. It's still under the resistance zone. So I'm holding out. Let's see if the S&P rejects on that 200-day MA, it should fall over. And you can see they've got coin here available on BTCC, ready to go. Okay, so if you want to do that, just jump into the show description. Everything is here under the show. Just click on more. You're going to find all of our stuff there, including the exchanges. Everything we talk about is waiting there for you guys. Okay, let's go. Let's talk about Bitcoin. And quite interestingly, returns of the past month have been led by the Asia sessions. Now, we have seen this a lot in the past where the US just kept on wrecking us. Guys, do you remember that? It felt like just the other day. Every time we got to move out of Asia, the US just rinsed us. And that seems to be the case again at the moment. So the best session is always the Asia session while I'm sleeping. Pretty annoying, I'm not going to lie, pretty frustrating. And the US and Euro have been the more bearish session in terms of price action. ETF flows have started turning around, which made for catch up by the US more recently. But overall, Asia session is where it's at. And that's why in Hackers, we got Trader Jay banging out the Asia session open. He's trading NASDAQ, gold, BTC, doing all these things in Hackers there. Make money, travel, enjoy. She's doing that. There we go. She says she doesn't sleep anymore. She's just longing and shorting shit coins like gold as well. Okay, let's get into BTC. Now, this is BTC on the 3-day. Now, this is the first warning sign that I'm seeing today in terms of BTC and the altcoins. I just want to highlight this. Now, these things take a long time to play out, so I don't want to cause any form of panic here, but remember, we got this beautiful long at the time on all the alts, all these things we really printed when we had that 3-day bullish divergence. Now we can see things are getting a little bit tired at the moment on the 3-day, and it's almost telling us that we might need some kind of reset. Now, you're going to see a similar pattern on the daily candles as well. The daily charts are also telling us we are still a little bit bearish on some of these alts. And this is what brings me to you today, including Chaos. And I just want to give you some levels a little bit lower down in case we're going to bleed out into this FOMC. I want to make sure you guys are covered on these banger zones, because there's information here that is telling us we could potentially be moving lower. So in terms of Bitcoin on the 3-day, I've got a big zone for you. I've highlighted this whole region. So I'm kind of comfortable anywhere between 92 and 89 for now, anywhere in that region. And this takes into account the 200-day MA, the 100-day MA, and also our 236, 382, and these horizontal levels. Look at these horizontals there. So anywhere in that region for me on Bitcoin on the 3-day makes sense. Now, I don't need to be too precise here because my focus is going to be where these altcoins are going to be at the time Bitcoin is in big support. But I would say anything down to even this 88.5, that type of region here is going to be key for us. If we do get some weakness here, even for some short-term snapback bounce or something along those lines. Okay, so you've got that big level there on the 3-day, possibly more downside here to come. And then in terms of the altcoins, now it's almost like we had a false start yesterday. We saw this exact picture yesterday. We had the 4-hour RSI heat map on these altcoins dropping into this nice green region, and this we saw the alts on support, and we actually got a small little bounce yesterday. So there was money to be made yesterday on a short-term move. Markets pumped nicely, dominance dropped, and this RSI heat map started pushing up. But now you can see in the last couple of hours with the recent sell-off, these things are resetting again, and it does tell us that we do have opportunity brewing. So typically what you want to do is focus for the reversals on the guys that are screaming at the lows, and that is what we're going to be looking at today. And there's a lot of them in good zones. I mean, there's even look 1 inches here. We've got DYDX, which we were talking about earlier today. We've got Atom, Move, Link, Filecoin. We've got all these things floating in heavily oversold or weak conditions. So they are telling us that short term we might get some kind of move. But the concern for me is where we are on the daily and also how these things have reacted. They just pushed up a little bit and they've dumped right back down again. Okay, so one of the big secrets or one of the big keys that we want to use in guiding us here is obviously dominance. And I'm tracking dominance on the 4-hour, and I marked this out earlier today for the chart hackers. And basically what you want to do is track dominance on basic TA, like a 4-hour, 12-hour, whatever time frame. When it drops into support zones, that is where you typically need to exercise a bit of caution with your altcoins. And today was no different. We dropped into a major support zone here, and you can see it's our fib as well. We dropped into that and had a strong bounce, and what happened? The alt started reversing. So all the action you saw today, all that alt pumpage from late yesterday. Look at that beautiful dominance drop, and a lot of that stuff gets undone with once we get that dominance pump. Now you can see I'm looking for something along those lines now on dominance here on these altcoins, and this could push them a little bit lower here for us. So what I would suggest here, 64.8%, watch that region over there, look for a rejection in that type of zone. So it looks like double the amount of work to go. So we've got a similar move coming up, and that tells us potentially a little bit more pain on the altcoin. So we just need to make sure we know where our next levels are, and some of this is going to tie in to the S trade that Chaos is about to give you. And funny enough, it also ties into the charts that I have here with me. Okay, so oh, he's getting excited. Look, he's frantically pushing buttons there in the back. He's ready to go. Almost. Oh, there we go. He's ready. He's ready. He's ready. What's our likeage like there, James? Go. What's it like? Are we cooking?
Let me see.
Okay, new head of likes here. He's gonna observe. Now, guys, if you're enjoying the content, hit the like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. Remember, I'm here on Banter Plus every single day, Monday to Friday. I'm doing this stuff. Occasionally, you're gonna find me on Sunday nights on the main channel. Okay, that's where you're gonna find me. Michael van Veen says, perfect. What's perfect for him? What's he looking for? What's he looking for? Do we know? Michael, tell me, what's perfect, sir? Who else is hanging out here in the chats?
We're a bit bullish on the likes there, eh?
Oh, bullish on the likes, guys.
We can do better. We can do better.
James unhappy. Glenn Goldberg says liquidation. Liquidations coming all around, guys. Okay, come in. Let's see what else we got. Dubproof says big up. And Zen's in the house. She says lols. And what is Bruce saying? He says, let me check on my Amstrad 64. I don't know what the hell that is. Okay. Rosal Exo says banger. And who else is here? Anna's in the house as well. Hello, Anna. And there's Trader J. We were just talking about you, sir. Okay. Were your ears burning? Okay, there's Trader J from Hackers. And if you want to trade DGen shit in the Asia session, the best performing session at the moment, that is where you need to be. Okay, guys, let's go. Let's talk about ETH. Am I ready to change this picture yet? I don't know. I still just love it so much. Maybe we can adjust it to 2,000 or something, but I'm just loving that. So, guys, my view on ETH. Okay, here it is. Anyone still out there trading ETH at the moment? Not me currently. This thing is it's too painful to look at. But in terms of ETH on the 4 hour, I've got two banger zones for you guys that are looking quite obvious now in terms of where this thing can go. And I'm loving the 4 hour. Look at that. I'm sure Chaos is like licking his lips here. Bullish divergence printing now on ETH on the 4 hour. The signs are there that we are going to get some kind of reversal. Often what we see is when we dip into these zones on a 4 hour, you often get one more dip and then you get the real move. So if we are going to get one more dip, and again, we can't guarantee that it is going to dip again, but based on what we're seeing here and based on history, we may get one more dip. And if we are, for me, 1,750, guys, it's really looking like a banger now. I've got the VWAP coming in from the absolute lows here. I've got a wick fill in play. I've got a trend, and I've got the 236. So we probably got some kind of order block situation. Bang. Okay. Look, there it is. Okay. So there's a lot going on here for me that tells me if we get a capitulation in the market and we get a dump here, that is going to be an epic long zone for ETH. Okay. Do we like ETH, Chaos? Do we like it? Okay. So 1,750, absolute banger zone, all the way down to 1,730. Mark this on your chart. Set your alarm. If you like ETH, this could be a trade for you guys, okay? So one more dip into Wednesday, 1,750 to 1,730 makes a lot of sense to me. And then I've got another backup plan. Always have your backup plan. If your first zone fails, make sure you know where your next zone is. And that next zone is going to be below 1,690. So that type of region there, down to about 1,660, makes sense to me. So zone number A, sort of prime zone, 1,750 down to 1,730. Then you've got your next backup zone. Okay, there you go, guys. So ETH is in play. Remember, all these charts, they go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show for you, so you can access all of them there. You don't have to frantically panic and set alarms and things. It's going to be there for you guys. Chaos, do you have any soul for me? No, bro. These guys are teasing me again. The other day, instead of reaction, I said erection. I was talking about a reaction zone, and somehow it came out erection zone. Okay, so apologies for that. Apologies, sir. Sorry about that. Casper made history today, Chaos. Did you see that?
Yep. It's like we said last night on our Zoom. This has
Are
been on the
you
roadmap.
proud?
I'm very proud. This has been on the roadmap for some time. But like I said to all the guys in Hackers, don't just take one event as what's going to make you a millionaire. Take the thing as a whole, the technology, you know. Take your time. It's coming. It's coming.
Oh, you see, spoken like a true Cass whale over here, okay? The Cass whale, he's quite chuffed with himself. He's been talking about Cass. Fuck, he's been talking about Cass for, I don't know, 2 years. He's been talking about this Cass. He must be super chuffed with himself right now. Marty Party says, in April, Sol maintains its position as the #1 chain in monthly DEX trading volume for the 7th consecutive month, processing 2 times more than ETH. Well, that's not hard to beat. And further widening the gap, okay? But anyway, nonetheless, let's look at Sol. So for me, a lot of Sol depends on the meme market. And if the memes are doing well, then we know Sol holds up, okay? The price holds up. And then things start cooking on that. And you see things like BONK, Popcat, with all those things performing again. And obviously all those super shit coins. So nice to see Sol. It did hold up really well relative to some other altcoins. But now a little bit of pressure here today. And finally, Chaos. We finally hit the high probability bounce zone that just wouldn't come. Last week, we were talking about this area. And guys, I've got 2 zones for you. If you're looking for longs on Sol, there's 2 probable zones where I suspect we are going to get a bounce. So if it doesn't happen here at 142 to 140, if you don't get it, 142 to 140, there's an absolute banger down here at 133 that I want you to pay attention to. It's a cracker here. It's the VWAP, it's the 50-day MA, it's the 382, it's the horizontal clusters. There's a lot going on. There's even a wick full situation over here. So there's a lot of reasons why it should bounce in this lower zone. So zone number 1, 140, call it 142 to 140. You can see we're looking for something there. That would be a nice little let off on the market. If they just drop it a little bit here and give us a little bounce, that could be quite sweet for us. So 142. And then if that fails, guys, look down 133. That for me is a cracker. It's a proper cracker there. And if it closes under that, I think it's dark for Sol. Okay, we don't want to go much deeper than that. And Ṅwala says going long or short. Ṅwala, look, I think if we're shorting now, we're shorting on support. So what you can do is short when you start losing the support. You can look for shorts, and then you can use that previous support as your stop loss, for example. But right now, you can see we're dropping into zones. So ideally, I'm looking for some kind of bleed out in the market and then a drop into some of these areas, and we can try and pick up a couple of these longs. And Slothman says, Sol straight into the erection zone 2. I concur. Okay, straight into that erection zone. Okay, so guys, those are your levels for Sol. Upside, let's not get too aggressive here. 152, 157 are the potential upside zones for me. For now, let's try and lock in a good area. Let's try and lock in the bounce, and then we can talk about some celebratory targets later on. But that for me, those are the levels, guys. I'll drop these in hackers for you. Now, let's talk Sonic, because I know Chaos was telling me he's got some Sonic action, and funny enough, I think we got something coming for you guys. So Sonic leads all chains in bridge inflows over the last 3 months. Total inflow 2.4 billion, outflow 1.7, net flow 681. Anyway, green chart looks good. Okay, so anyone who's into fundamentals, there we go. And Bing Bang Bong also says green erections everywhere soon. Okay, so let's talk Sonic. I've got a bit of a banger that I think could play out nicely. Now, I know you mentioned there are 2 zones of interest. I can see them, okay? They both make sense to me. I'm scared to FOMO too early if I'm not hitting one of my banger zones, okay? So for me, I'm just going to lock in, for me, longs for Sonic at 496 down to 486. 496 down to 486 for me. That feels like the safest play, but we can see one step higher, sir. Talk to me. What have you got there?
Nice. Right, let's share screen. Hold on. Can you see?
Yes, it's cooking.
That's your screen, right?
There it is.
There we go.
Same thing. Okay.
Okay, so let's just adjust that. That's moved while we were talking. Okay, cool. So with Sonic, it's important to know, let's just get rid of that for a second. We are actually taken from the candle bodies mostly on a trend line now. Now, trend line, I don't give a huge amount of weighting to. It just shows the trend that the coin's moving in. I actually anticipate, for a few different reasons, that we might lose this trend line. Okay, come down to the order block, collect the orders, and that is at 4856 or 486 if you like, and get our bounce there. And the confluence points are, we've got a quantum reactor from Chart Prime, which is nice and green, I might add. The candles are currently still red. All right, what we're looking to see is the candles go from pink to red and then to switch over to green. It's not happened yet, so I'm actually anticipating a couple more candles before we get the green switch. So this to me makes sense. I actually will get rid of that so you can see everything clearly. There we go. So for me, I think we'll drop the trend. I think the candlesticks will change color as we get closer to the order block. I think we'll get this cash flow wave, which will start to level out and then increase. And at the same time, our RSI, which obviously has come down. Okay, we've had the twist here. I think we'd get another push down, just like we did back here, guys. You've seen it time and time again. For the real dip, and then we get the move, and I think that coincides with a dip to the bottom of the order block. So where the quantum reactor meets, where the order block meets, where the candle should change color, this should wick down to 486, and then we get our reaction, and that's what I'm looking at.
And perfect. That ties in with a 786. You guys know how much I love a 786 and trend. I've got a 786 and trend there as well. So we got 4 or 5 points of confluence in that region, and we are very close to a proper reversal on that 4 hours. So thank you. I'm very happy with that explanation. So I think we're kind of on the same page. I just want to show you guys here, obviously important things to note. There is a VWAP and a 50-day MA. We're not taking that away, but in terms of what I like to look for here, we've got a lot of more confluence a little bit lower down. So let's just highlight this region. This could be your FOMO zone, okay? So you can see there is horizontal support there, where Chaos just showed you, 506. You got a 50-day, you got a VWAP, you got some horizontals. Yes, I like it. But in terms of where we are on this 4 hour, feels like we need to go one more. Okay, just feels like one more dip there, and just to flush everyone out. Okay, so let's call this, and I've labeled it on some of the other charts as well for you guys. We'll call this an interim bounce zone there. Okay, that will be your interim bounce zone, and this will be the daddy. This will be the one that I think gives you the swing trade. Okay, I think that's the bigger move there for us. Now, when entry, okay, Rid K's been listening, okay, he's been watching. Okay, so those are the levels, guys. Possible interim bounce zone 507. The daddy bounce zone is this 495 down to 486. Okay, you got that. This will be in hackers for you guys. Cool. Let's go. Let's talk some big or higher time frame situations. Okay, now I just want to address some of these bigger time frame things, because the way these things unfold typically is you're not expecting it, and then all of a sudden it happens super quickly. So slowly, and then all of a sudden, bang, and everything's falling over, and you're not prepared and you're not ready, and then you're looking at the 15 minutes, and then suddenly you're zooming out, and then this thing's bounced already. Okay, so I just want to highlight what I'm seeing here, and this is typical across the board on these altcoins at the moment. So we're picking up the dailies that are turning over. We know that. Okay, so we're getting a lot of daily reversals. You can see this thing is trying to charge down at the moment. So that is the bear case for it. Bull case, or at least the thing keeping us positive and looking for higher lows, is the fact that this cash flow is nice and green. Okay, we've got a beautiful cash flow band here at the moment, and that is giving me information. That's telling me that we should hold higher lows on these alts. That's telling me we can't get too bearish on these things. We just need to be patient. And Fahad is in the house. I met this man. I met him at the banter event, and he always hides behind that picture. And I met him in real life. He actually looks like that picture. He's actually that dude. Okay, so let's finish. Sorry, excuse me. I'm digressing. Okay, so here's Brett, a banger zone for me, and I've written here high conviction long, like literally high conviction long. And the reason it's a high conviction zone is you guys are going to be shitting in your pants when the altcoins are dropping there, okay, on 618. James is going to be red in the face. He's going to be saying, bear.
It's all over.
He's going to be saying it's all over, okay? And I'm going to be saying, guys, let's go. Okay, so that is why I've said, high conviction zone, okay? Anything from, you got to start paying attention here, 433 down to 386. Guys, pay attention when it hits that zone. That is where you sit forward. Okay, you know that meme with a guy with a remote control and he sits forward. Okay, that's where you need to pay attention for me if we hit that area. And that's still super, super bullish. And that also helps us with cleaning out these candles that just moved up too fast. So it would be so nice, bang there, and then bang Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be that high, but it'll be a banger trade if we can catch it in those areas there. Okay, so this will be in hackers for you guys, higher time frame. Then I've got another one here. I've got BONK as well. Very similar story. Okay, now BONK was a little pumper last night off some short-term levels, and we're going to look at those short-term levels now because it might still move a little bit, but I want to highlight this in case, again, this is the emergency zone. Market suddenly collapses when you least expect it. Where are you buying BONK? What are you going to do? Because you know BONK is a mover. BONK's going to recover well with the market, but if you're not prepped and you don't know what you're buying and when you're buying when the market's falling over, you're going to be on the back foot. You're going to be stumbling, okay? So BONK for me, same style as Brett. Look at this banger area down here. Anything from 144 down to about 135, okay? Another banger zone here for us. I put here a strong support region. Then we've got potential bounce zone a little bit higher, and you can see it's not super high confluence here, but we do have a horizontal in play at the 0.5. I'm just loving this thick band lower down. I'm loving the 50-day MA, and I got higher conviction at that lower zone for me. Okay, so these are the two bounce zones for BONK that I want you guys to pay attention to, and that is if we start bleeding now during the week, that is where I'm expecting a bounce. Interestingly, on the 3-day, we are printing this reversal. Now, remember, we got this beautiful move here on the 3-day when we had bullish divergence, and that was a nice pumper. So just something to keep an eye on. Now, these things can obviously play out for a lengthy period of time. It doesn't mean it has to fall over immediately, but you can see that thing. There's a sign there. Okay, so maybe we're going to get one more big pump. Maybe one more big pump for a lot of these altcoins is going to be that 200-day MA, and then maybe it's the end of the move, okay? Alt season over or something like that. Chaos, what else you got here? So
I quite like BNB, if I'm honest. That old thing.
BNB and DOT and
when was
all these other old...
When was the last time you charted BNB? Has it been a while?
I actually charted it the other day.
Okay.
I fell asleep while I was charting it.
Well, prepare to wake up. We're going to get some action soon. Yeah. So listen,
it's just a slow mover, but it does actually pay. I mean, it does respond well.
Let me just tell you now, the 20% club in chart hackers are printing from ETH.
Are they?
So yeah. Yep. We've had a few good trades. We've had a few good trades from that, my friend. So it may be slow, but as Mike says, I do love the Dino coins because they always come back.
There we go.
Here you go. So listen, BNB, listen, they're predictable as well. So most notably with BNB, I mean, there's a lot going on the screen. Let me just hide some stuff for a second really quickly so you guys can see what's going on. There we go. So just basic candle structure in play here. We start to introduce some of the indicators back we've been using Chart Prime. We obviously know we've been in an ascending channel for a period of time. And what we're looking to do is actually find some support levels here, which if you drag these back, you can see that we've come through these areas earlier on. I'm just highlighting the last 3 or 4 times we've been through these structure. And we've obviously got tightening price action at the moment. I've got this area of support highlighted. So if we look at this just a little bit closer in, there we go. We can see there's a lot of order blocks around here. There's a lot of liquidity to the upside and to the downside. Okay, so we're obviously quite conscious of what's going to happen next. We've got a sell signal, which is recently printed. And if you just look at the last 2 times that the sell signal printed, there was a nice move. It was another nice move. And we just had it again. So what I'm actually anticipating is that the sell order plays out, okay, and come down into this area of support where we've pinged multiple times. We're going to collect our order. It just happens to coincide with the bottom of this ascending channel, okay? So if you like patterns and you like market patterns and you believe they play out, this is a nice trade for you. Then what I'd expect to do is react here at the same time that the RSI and the cash flow bottom out. Our reaction from the bottom of this pattern should at the very least start to move us up through the ascending channel. And if you look, this is a 56% from top to bottom move. I can take that away now. It's a huge move, guys. At the very least, I'm going to be targeting from the lows here up to the money flow point of control, then up to the quantum reactor, which will be our TP2. And this is the same point of resistance that we've got all the way through these candles here. And then after that, we'll be aiming for this area of resistance. And then if we break this, we will have moved our stop loss up through the trade. And then finally, we'll be aiming for the tops. But we'll take it one step at a time. and all of these charts will be updated weekly. This is on the daily time frame, so this is going to take some time to play out, guys. If you look at the start of the channel, it was back in August 24, so each of these moves takes a time to play out, so we'll continue to monitor it.
I see Simple Media says, what's the deal with 𝗬𝗰? Yeah, that thing's pretty strong. Chaos, I love your methodical way you go about these things. And even though they are shit coins in my eyes, I got to give you credit. You fucking nail these things. So well done, sir. It's very nice. If you like this type of trading stuff, it's very relaxing because you can do it on super low margin or you can do it on spot and it's a chilled sort of scenario. You know, it's not high intensity.
It can take forever.
It can take forever. Okay, so there you go. Random says the bottom is in LFG. Oh, okay. Let's go. There's a question on ONDO. So we took an ONDO trade last night. Okay, and it's basically still in entry. Okay, here we go. It's basically still at our entry zone. Now, I've got another order waiting at 84. Now, you can see we had a little pump on ONDO earlier today and then a big sell-off, as you guys noticed. We had a nice move in the market up, and then they came and they rinsed us down a little bit here. So I've got another order waiting at 84 for ONDO. Let's talk about this thing because I think it could be a little bit of a dark horse play here for us. Let me just ONDO. There she is. Okay, so here's the basics of that setup from last night. So we saw a lot of reversal signs leading into last night. Now, subsequently after this pump today, things have changed a little bit with where we are on ONDO. You can see we had a beautiful pump up and then a massive sell-off. So it's not a good look at the moment. And now an interesting week ahead. So trying to play this thing cautiously. Don't want to get myself absolutely rinsed here for no reason. But this is basically what I'm looking at and why I'm playing this thing at the moment. So you can see in terms of support, what we've got, I've got a quantum reactor here to the downside. I've got the 50-day MA. I've got a 0.5. I've got a wick fill zone as well. So this whole area is talking to me. This whole area is telling me a story. And potentially, if we don't get a monster sell-off this week, we should print some kind of higher low on this oscillator. And then I'm obviously looking for some kind of move up. Okay, so that would be the dream scenario. And that might coincide with the FOMC. Now, it depends how hard they want to go and how deep they want to take us on something like ONDO. But in terms of, my current trade and what I'm looking at here, I'm trying to ladder in this region, and I've got one more order at 84 lower down. So it's right at the stop loss region. And if we start closing under there, well, take the medicine, take the beating, and then start looking at around about 81 for the next possible move for me on ONDO. Okay, so no changes to yesterday's setup. Anyone who was in hackers, we had a beautiful move off there. Obviously, for me, I was looking for a much bigger move, so I don't want to close that position. Let's see how this plays out. But here is the trade, and the exit zone is 0.836. If you close under 0.836, you're most likely looking at 81 as your next reaction zone or your next bounce zone. So if you're trading spot, it's an easy play because you got about a 6% risk from here. If you're trading high leverage, you got to manage yourself. So your first risk is about 2.7% and your next risk is about 6.8%. Okay, so figure that out for yourselves. Do the maths, work out how much risk you're prepared to take. But 6% to the next big level from where we are now. So that's suited to lower leverage spot type things. Okay. Fahad, stop playing with ONDO, bro. What is he doing with ONDO? Okay. Chaos. What else we got, sir?
I've got AVAX. We've got AVAX. We've got 𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏's a good one. 𝗏𝗏's a really nice one.
We've got a setup for you coming on 𝗏𝗏, and we've got AVAX. We've got to talk about AVAX, and then I've got hype. So this is a tricky one. A little bit short on hype here. Okay, just looking for a little bit lower. This is a nice hedge play because it's moved into a typical reaction zone, typical bear zone here for us. And you can see we sort of double top now on the daily oscillator at the moment. So a little bit of a hedge play, and you can see some beautiful zones. So hype it's too high up and it's too sort of middle of the road to be looking for longs just yet. So if you're not short, okay, and you're looking for something else, there's two scenarios here on hype that could possibly play out. Scenario one is weakness in the market, drop for a long into 18.7. That makes sense to me. 236 horizontal, just typical reaction zone, 100-day MA. So 18.7, drop into that, probably you're going to get a bounce. Then your next area, 16.9, and I would say this is a high conviction bounce zone on hype. The reason being, this thing is so bullish at the moment. If you look at this chart over the last while, this thing just keeps grinding higher. And in terms of dropping into a 50-day MA and a VWAP from the lows and a 382, for me, the 16.9 feels like a proper bounce zone on this hype. So look out there. Those are the two big zones to the downside, and no fresh longs here until we hit one of those levels. Or alternatively, if hype decides this week to blow through that region, your next long is going to be safely, okay? For me, the next safe long is going to be on the retest of that horizontal. So let's blow through, and then let's see what type of retest we get out of that thing, and that could be a potential long that takes you to that 27 zone. So I think 27 is on for hype. I believe the market stays bullish here, and even though we get higher lows, it's just a little bit more time, but I believe hype is going to go to this 27 region at some point. It's just about a matter of timing this stuff. Okay, let's go a Vox. Can we call it a Vox?
We can call it whatever you like, as long as it makes us money.
Somebody on Twitter asked me for the E&A chart. I need to get it up. Okay, I'll get that up. Okay, let's go. Talk to me about a Vox.
So, listen, this is much more of a simple scenario. I've just placed in a bottom of the range, a top of the range. Obviously, there's a couple of candles, and then we recovered the range, and a midpoint. We've got a specific set of indicators loaded, which change color with the candles for going green and then red for going down. So between that, and the fact that when we generally pick a bottom on the RSI, and then we go to a top, generally speaking, you get that for a move. Then when it comes down, you get that. So this, on an RSI basis, if you look at these, they're quite good moves. Now, rather than keep just drawing zigzags, which is what I was doing, we noticed we came from a high, which was perfectly candled out, through the sell, down into the red candles. Now we've got this middle equilibrium area, whatever you want to call it, difference between a local premium and discount potentially. We've come down here, the RSI is reset. We've got notes here of a reversal. We've got an RSI which is getting ready to reverse. The last time it was down here, obviously we are aware that we can get the false low, but nonetheless, the last time we were down here was the reversal point, and the time before that was the reversal point. So a potential with between where we are and the reversal signs, and the fact that we are entering this zone, okay, we might be getting to an area where we're going to reverse. So what we're looking for specifically is the candles to change color, potentially a bit of consolidation here, okay, to tap the bottom of this zone, to get our green candles here, and to start the move up. And along with that, we want to see a buy signal, like we've seen the last two times, appear somewhere in this region. When we get the candle change, when we get the signal, when we get a clear push up, when our cash flow comes up, these will all be confluence signs that a long is in play. The long is going to be somewhere in the region of 1880 to 1850. And if we take the midpoint from there, we're basically looking at a 20% move. So this could be quite a nice trade, guys.
Okay. Right. So last night's AVAX, done.
Yeah.
What was that level?
What
was our level there? What was our level on last night's AVAX?
Sure, I haven't got that chart.
Funny, like, it was showing the best reversals. Like it was some of the best reversal signs I'd actually seen. I quite liked the look of that AVAX. So Raj says, can we have some shorts as well? So Raj, basically, you know, what we're doing now is we're looking at, there's been a bit of a sell-off onto major supports here. So some of the best shorts that you get tend to happen when you get a pump into big areas. So for example, here's 𝗬𝗰 pumping into a big rejection zone, and you see that across the board on a lot of these altcoins. When they pump into these big areas, then you get the shorts. Then when you start dropping onto support zones, we start typically looking for long areas, because that short now has started, and normally these shorts, by the time they get onto support, they're midway through, and then we start identifying areas where we can get possible bounces. But the principle of a short is exactly the same, and I'm just trying to find you an example here. So for example, here's Cardano. So if you wanted to look for a short on this thing now, so your first short zone was typically in that area, and we would have been looking for that swing short. Look at that reversal print, the divergence, and then you can see it's starting to fall over. Then you get secondary short zones like this type of region, for example, and I'm going to flip this chart over just to show you what it can look like. and typically you're going to play it as a breakout play. So I mean, it's essentially a breakdown, but what you want to see then, if this is going to play out for you, you want to see this candle close above that type of region. So you look for the candle close above, then it might typically come back for a little retest there, and then you can get that short move. So you're going to play it the same way as a breakout. So remember, we do a couple of types of trades here. We look for it to drop into our basket for longs, or we pump it into the big rejection zones for shorts, or alternatively, you can play the breaks of horizontals either way. Okay, so it's the same principle there that you're going to be looking at. You just got to now let this thing break through that 50-day moving average. So Cardano, it could be a fair example because this thing gives you a nice target as well to the downside. So watch for this candle close. This is the daily that we're going to be watching at the moment, and you can see that 50-day MA is very important. That's that red line over there, and that is going to be considered support or resistance for us. So if you close underneath that 50-day MA, Sarad, then I think you've got a potential short on the cards, and you can use the high of that candle as your exit zone, 6920, and you're going to look for something like this. They might just come sweat you back up there, and then you're going to look for something like that, okay? And then into what is looking like a very nice long zone to me on Cardano, a little bit lower down. Okay, so I hope that helps you with that short idea. And in terms of Cardano, where's the next long in case there's a market dump for us? 599, 0.599. Love the look of that area. Makes a lot of sense there to me. 0.599. Okay, is what we're looking at for the potential bounce. Mobeen says sell the rip. Correct, sir. Okay, that's what we're looking for, and that's what we do in hackers. Okay, that's the game plan. You know, you get these pumps, and we can short them. It's a beautiful thing, making money to the downside. I sounded like Trump there. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, it's nice making money on the shorts. Okay. Boys, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, James. Thank you. Thank you. Chaos.
Good one.
Oh, wait. Chaos has got to give us blur.
We can do blur.
All right.
We need to do blur.
We need to do blur. Guys, in Charter Hackers, you're going to get 2 shorts from me straight after this show. And blur is not one of them. Where are we? There you go.
Power,
right? No, you saw nothing. I'm not going to tell you. Okay, cool. Okay, so here is blur.
Okay.
You see nothing. Okay, so what really interests me with blur, slightly different route with some different indicators, guys. I'll keep it very short because I know you want to wrap up. These Keltner channels, price has a habit of bouncing from bottom to the top, to the bottom here, back to the top again, and so on and so forth. We've just pinged the lower Keltner channel, okay? As well as that, we had a beautiful sell that printed, okay? Candles were firmly red. We've actually got some reversal signs coming, and we've got bullish engulfing candles as well. So there's I mean, it doesn't look a massive engulfing candle. So, you know, understand that the market's not the strongest it's ever been today. And it doesn't mean that we are definitely going to reverse yet. We may still get the false bottom. All right. However, at RSI, we're taking a lot of note here that it has reversed. It has inverted. It's gone positive. And what we're looking for now is this, where it goes inverted and then it changes color. Okay. So if we get the color change here and the RSI starts to send us on our way, what I'm essentially looking for, first of all, is this region, which is going to give you a 17% move. And then after that, I'll be looking for this region, which again is going to give us, in fact, this will be the last target for now, a 30% move. So this to me, look, keep an eye on the candle, keep an eye on the candles, keep an eye on the structure, keep an eye on the hackers, because I will update you guys. Dylan, I don't know if you've got an entry for blur, but we must be getting close, right?
Yeah, I've got a chart here. I mean, it feels like we're super close. Like we touched on this. We touched on 2 yesterday. They were 2 high risk plays that we were looking at yesterday. Blue was one of them. I want to give them a backup zone as well. I like that you've got this blue in front of you here. Let me just find my blue chart.
Sure.
There were 2 that were interesting to me. So one of them was Dime, which was, you confirmed what a shitcoin that is.
Terrible.
And the other one was Blur. And guys, I tried something very simple yesterday. I literally went to the crypto RSI heat map, and I picked the 2 most oversold that I could see on the heat map, and also picked the one overbought that I could see. And that one was a VI, and AVAI. And that thing, funny enough, has started turning over. So quite interesting. That was right at the top. And then these two, Dime and Blur, were right at the bottom. And I thought, well, let's take a look. I mean, I knew nothing about them fundamentally, and Chaos reminded me what a shitcoin Dime was. So I would be super careful on this dog shit. But in terms of possible levels here and possible bounce zones, here it is. I mean, it's in the zone right now if you want to have a crack. So 2775 down to 271. That's a bounce zone here for me. Order blocks as well. 618 horizontal wick fill. There's a lot going on here in terms of that. And we know this was one of the most oversold on the 4-hour RSI heat map. So that's your first one. Potential bounce to 304 could be on the cards. Okay, easy exit. 2698, you close under there, you exit. Okay, simple. And then here's Blur. So Chaos is sort of bang on the button here, other than just slightly above these two zones here, 618 fib and this big order block for me. So 952 down to 931, I suppose. That makes a lot of sense to me. So if we get a double dip, a last little move into that zone, I think there's a nice trade here. And it's quite an easy trade into that trend, and it's super easy in validation. If you close under 926, you're pretty much bailing. And I think you get a nice upside move here, 10% from those lows. Could be nice. Okay, so yeah, simple, I guess. Banger session, says Jay. Okay, you want banger sessions? Jay's in the house as well tonight, trading the Asia session. Okay, so after that false start, now we are literally leaving. Okay, I'm just seeing who's paying attention. Okay, Chaos.
See you
later. Okay, guys, good luck. Volatile week ahead. I'm so glad to be back. Hangover and all from Dubai. It was a great trip, but I'm glad to be back. Back in my routine, doing the things for you guys and doing what I love the most, and that's looking for trades all day to feed you guys. Okay, so that's how we're going again this week. So nice to see you. I'm back tomorrow, same time. Later.